So you finished in Leander in what, 09?
10?
Yeah,
yes.
And then when did you go there afterwards?
So after that, I went back to... So I finished Leander in 09, went back to go finish off the undergrad, and that's when I moved back to Henley to have my first crack at the Diamonds.
Okay. And that was with Henley?
That was
Right club.
racing as University of Hertfordshire.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so if anything, that kind of added to the sort of David versus Goliath element of it.
Literally.
Champion versus program that probably no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
But after that, I kind of stayed in Henley. I must confess, I made some terrible rowing choices in that year. I kind of joined Leander and had kind of, started to rise up through the ranks. And then instead kind of moved back to Henley. Didn't go back to Leander. Separate story.
On the next podcast.
One for the next podcast. And so I went back to Henley Rowing Club.
Yeah.
Which, lovely club, great people, but not somewhere you go if you want to kind of be on a high performance pathway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I kind of came off that sort of conveyor belt of working your way up for a while.
I mean, I stayed at Leander, but I sort of had the same issue in that we quite early on in our careers won the Thames Cup, which then excludes you from all club events, and the gap between club and intermediate was quite large, and it took me 2 or 3 years to get myself competitive. So I struggled along at Leander. I had the benefit of being under 23 and doing some stuff at under 23 systems, so I had some progress. But yeah, it's like such a huge gap, especially in sweep. I'm not as sure in sculling, but between club and intermediate is huge. So I think wherever you go.
Because we had that interesting year in sort of 2008 where we won the Thames Cup and the Ladies' Plate.
Yeah.
So we're kind of training, together all the time.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, there's always sort of about a 3-length gap between R8 and the Plate 8 over 2K.
It was pretty. There were occasional training sessions where we beat them.
Was it?
Yeah, I remember we did I think it was like 3 2K. It wasn't long before. I think it was after summer training camp. So we're like 3 weeks before Henley. We did maybe like 3 2Ks, and the Plate 8 just didn't show up that morning, and we just got them on the rhythm. Like, that's what arms, body, slide, right? Like Brian. Like I think back to that year, and it's like
hold the line and hook it in. Like
I just
for the whole coaching points
for the whole winter, all we did was double pause exercise. It was like arms, body, slide, like just double pause. And it's
been rock over.
It's Mr. Miyagi with the wax on, wax off. Like I don't think we realized till we got to the summer, like how drilled in our rhythm was and how much we moved together.
Because he always talked about how you have to drill this stuff in so much that when you're absolutely on your last legs and you're starting to black out towards the end of a race, you will still hold these absolute fundamentals.
It was the absolute basics. Like Brian never got into anything confusing, technical biomechanics, and he was just like, we just do the basics right.
Yeah,
and
we were a crew full of simpletons. Yeah, like I remember Ben Lewis described us as, and I quote, "too stupid to lose." So our race plan, it was like. You can kind of distill it down to a little bit of the flowchart, right? Like, are you up? No. Rate higher. Are you up? Yes. Keep going. And that was it. We would just rate higher until we were up all the time.
Oh, it was fair. I've heard another one. I think it was a Ben Lewis quote. Was that there was only 9 people that day who were too stupid to know they were supposed to lose. Like we were the only people that hadn't realized we were supposed to lose that race.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah, it was kind of simple, but then that's the best way, and we really brought into it. So like everyone just trusted in Brian, and I think that was a great thing. Like I've been in squads before where maybe coaches have been a bit more outside the box, but then some of the more advanced rowers are like, I don't agree with that. I don't know. You couldn't really disagree with anything Brian said. You could really sit there and be like, are we going to work on anything else now? Yeah. But also like to give Ben Lewis credit, for me personally, well, we lost to Tideway Scullers at Met Regatta. They choked us out. Like they came off the start ahead and just sat ahead, and we couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Then we went on training camp, and then 8 weeks later we beat them by 6 feet. And Brian wasn't out on camp for that first. Do you remember he came out late because he had a bad back?
Yeah.
So we had Ben Lewis coaching us, who was coaching Ladies Plate 8, but he was splitting the sessions. He'd come out with us. Then Davy Jones got heat stroke. Do you remember that?
My one recollection was the ladies' play day going out on the beers on night one of training camp.
You mean the ladies' play 8 and Ray Poulter?
And Ray Poulter, yes.
Oh, stroke man, but no. I was far too much of a little kid to risk. Didn't they lost Charlie Brereton as well? Like they lost him for half a day.
I just remember having a hungover Ray stroking our 8-1 outing, and Davy Jones was shouting Basil Brush from the bow seat.
But so he got Dave got heat stroke. So Ben Lewis came and sat in the boat for like a day and a half and just rinsed me. Because I was in the 2 seat. He just sat in the bow and was like, not fucking good enough. He had me doing donuts. So this is what I mean. It's funny about the different things that you remember. So this obviously won't register much with you because it wouldn't bother. But I remember just sat in the Thames Cup 8 for like 15 minutes at one end with just me rowing, with Ben Lewis being like, that is not a fucking catch. Like, but he sorted a lot of shit out in that crew.
Yeah.
I think without that,
I really rate him as a coach.
He's Tyrese Sculler's head coach now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Because so one of my kind of key takeaways from that was when I first joined Leander, I sucked. I was really, really bad. And I used to think, okay, well, I'll just try and row pretty and technical. I just didn't really think to pull hard on the water. And so I just get annihilated by everybody, like, men and women. And one day, we're getting ready for this time trial, and Ben just says, right, if any of the women beat you, you're cut. And that was it. He said that, and it kicked me into gear. And the thing is, there's probably other ways you could have gone about that as a coach, but something I always respected about Ben was that he has no issues telling you uncomfortable truths if he thinks it's going to make you a better athlete. Yeah. And in the moment, I needed a serious kick up the ass. Yeah. He gave it to me.
We've had some I've had some as well before of him when we were at, I can't remember what we were, when maybe we were doing a time trial. I think it was like a GB speed order. And some under 23 crews had been invited, and we'd done the first one, and we just weren't there. And he came over and gave us an absolute bollocking, and you need it. And we discussed this before a bit. I think there's probably quite a lot of some of the things that he said, which people would now think is inappropriate or like not safe for the workplace and things like that. But ultimately, if you're trying to be fantastic at something, you kind of need someone, like you said, the uncomfortable truths. But it's still the truth. And once you understand that coach is trying to get the best from you, like me doing donuts, like he's not bullying me. Yeah. He's like trying to get me to row the way I need to row if we're going to win this thing.
Yeah, and in reality, when we're talking about a sport, high-level sport is all about marginal gains and, tiny little margins. Stuff like that does add up.
Yeah.
If you are you're smart enough to be fully aware that could have been all the difference.
Yeah.
At the end of it all. So you've got to do it.
Yeah.
You want to be on the start line thinking, I left nothing to chance. I endured all the uncomfortable truths. I made all the changes that were required of me. So now I've got the best chance that I could possibly have.
How did you feel race week, or how did you feel finals day? Was there anything that stands out from that?
From our 2008 campaign?
Yeah. This is just personally for me. I'm really interested.
Yeah. I remember because I was living with a few party animals, to put it politely. That year. So remember, I actually had to come stay in your living room during our Henley campaign. I remember, so you had, this was back when the fireworks were a big thing on the Saturday of Henley, and the fireworks are going off, and I'm kind of laying there on this mattress in your living room, and Webby's kind of texting me saying like, can you hear that loud banging? Yeah. That's Graham Benton doing roll-ups. Like, just going in on the Scullers format. I think, Graham Benton, I met him a few times around the erg circuit, like, lovely guy. But, we were just kind of...
At that point, you're just trying to find all those psychological advantages, just find all those ways you can put that other crew down to make you feel like...
Yeah. What I do kind of recall from that is we were very good at kind of, when we needed to be off and relaxed, we were very good at being off and relaxed. But when it was go time, like, we were fired up like nobody's business. And I think that's important because it does drain you being too pumped up for too long.
Yeah.
So I think if we didn't just kind of have a fairly sort of, jovial attitude to it, we might have found ourselves just burnt out and not so up for it. But I remember our little pep talks, Davy Jones firing us up, Brian firing us up. We were up for it.
Do it for yourselves, do it for each other.
Yes.
I like that one.
Yes, absolutely.
And hands in. like the basketball teams.
Yes.
Didn't he literally say that, didn't he? He was like, we're going to do hands in like they do in basketball.
Yeah, we can do it, and we're all like, yeah, we can do it. Duffy wasn't particularly invested in it, but he was right, because I remember we'd just come out of this little block where the stewards had come up and said to us, okay, new rule, anybody who did February trials is not allowed to do the Thames Cup in your crew.
Yeah.
So we just lost Adam Moffat, Al Sinclair, Rich Francis. We were pretty down in the dumps about that. But Brian, I mean, the more I think about it, the more I kind of respect how he managed that project. He genuinely got us to believe we could still do it.